all too much. Welcome back to another episode of the Entropik Seminar. Oh, I still got my spread here, but today we have far more, what's the word? Learned on a subject that is professionally applicable of a guest than usual. Step my game up. Goes, you have a name. Which name is okay to share?
For the sake of this, let's call me Caster.
Excellent. Okay. Welcome to the show, Cassie.
Thank you.
So you are a massage therapist?
Yeah, you could say that.
Well, what would you say about it?
I would say I am a facilitator in healing.
Okay. So your magic is a transmission through your body.
In a way, yeah. It's a very kinesthetic one. It's one, just like any magic, like awareness of the subject itself, and like essentially like what we've come to understand as science, pretty much, like the breaking down of things to be able to reach the idea through a logical process allows you to be able to harness that connection in a stronger way. Like honestly, the right brain idea that is healing, that happens so naturally and through waves and functions that we can't really like even logically think about.
You're saying it's matched up with the left brain processes of actual maps and what have you.
Yeah, pretty much. We have all these names for muscles, but whether or not we know the name for them or have some type of logical understanding of them, they work and we use them.
This muscle is still a transmitter for your conscious energy in some capacity.
Yes, it is.
The body is in fact a temple, and this man knows how to get kinks out of it.
I do.
There you go. I have a family member who massaged a couple professional. They throw the fucking pigskin football players, and I know a thing or two, but I never went to school about it. And we were talking about something earlier. It's about putting pressure on a tension point in a certain way that relieves its tension more easily than a just regular like pushing on it.
Yeah. So like through normal massage, through different strokes, and especially the deeper the better. By the way, if anyone does deep strokes, the whole idea is slow. The deeper, the slower, and to get deep, you get there gradually.
Okay.
And if you follow that kind of rule of thumb, you get there well without hurting someone. Because despite media and how some people think of
glass,
massage,
hot water.
yeah, massage shouldn't hurt. It shouldn't like be so painful where you really, really want someone to stop, but you don't think they should. It should never be there.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Because I got some delicate things where like the person has to know their shit. This is an old tension. Like I'd go to a professional teacher for this one.
But at the same time, that's what I'm trying to do with my website, nomassage.com. I want people to understand these things more and still be able to look to professionals.
Is that like massage or like K?
No massage, like KNOW. Like I know with my mind how to do massage, but I also know that there are professionals who love this shit and want to do it even more, and like will continue to learn to help me. But yeah, like you said, also I need to know.
Well, there's so much knowledge out there. We can't possibly fit it all. You know, that's why we have to be humble and polite and interested in what others have to say. Here, let me slide this thing a little bit.
That's also why we have professions. Some people take to certain knowledge or research areas more than others, and
yeah, they're specialists.
Yeah, those specialists really help us grow in these areas.
If you have a very serious problem with this very specific thing, right? But then, you know, I talk about the magnitude being increases simplicity and vice versa. So at the low end of things, you have lots of complicated things, but none of them are very high magnitude. You know, at the top, it's very simple, but it's very severe and serious.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it applies to so many different areas.
It does, right?
The attraction of all things to each other.
I think it's just about it all fits together. Like the universe has X amount of stuff, and it's going to be fine eventually, one way or another. But we just have to decide how eloquently we want to stream it all together. You know,
I think that's a good way to put it.
like I have this cube of space diagram here, and I was noticing the pattern in which it finishes making a whole face. It does like the edges and then the face part, and sometimes it doesn't do it in the same way. Like this one, it made the face part first, but this one, it finished the whole outline first, and it does this so that the last connector piece is the judgment card, and it goes to the tower card. The implication with that is that applying your flames of perception through your right confident personality will you be able to withstand any judgments because you know that you transmitted the truth and you have confidence in yourself or whatever. You know, you believe in it kind of thing. The lightning won't strike your tower and kill you. It will strike your tower and hit the lightning rod and go back down to the ground. But if you do it wrong, then the lightning will strike and will be damaged. So don't be the magician who transmits foolishness. You must transmit truth.
Yeah. And when it comes to the body, from what I've seen, there's a lot of foolishness that is replacing truth.
Like when you see people crack their neck really fast and shit, making it worse. You gotta do it slow. Delicate ass muscles.
Yeah, and bending over real quick to touch your toes. What if you took every step of the way that your spine has to offer, all 31 steps?
Oh yeah, I've done 5 of those before. It was really nice. I can only imagine.
A nice exercise for those watching. Stand up against a wall with your feet about a foot away from the wall so that you're slightly leaning against it. Start from your head, tucking your head just like this so that your chin touch your chest. And that's the first few spinal parts that will start to bend. But you have so many more. And try to bend slowly in one, each of the other. And eventually it may even hurt. But do it a few times in a week and it'll feel really, really nice. And you'll feel a little bit freer somehow.
Because you've increased the energy flow.
Yeah.
The
Your
circuit
body
can
knows
flow.
what it's doing. More than you do.
Oh yeah, and like I say, when you're like toning yourself, like anyone's trying to be a pro athlete kind of thing, you have to like do it in the right, like not just pattern but method. Like your movement needs to be specific. Like I have this little tension point in my shoulder. I was dropped on a guardrail, and this part of my shoulder blade, it like pops out a little extra, and the muscle always has this weird tension. So unless I'm doing it right anyway, I get a click, you know? So I have a little reminder, but in so doing, every little motion is quite similar. I have my balance all the time, and I can have full expression through anything I'm doing. I can like have a cigarette and be eating and have the drink and everything's fine. I don't get flustered anymore at all. It's really nice just because everything follows this very simplistic pattern, you know, top-down kind of principle. As above, so below.
Yeah.
It's weird to describe, I know.
It's sad that it's weird, though.
It's a little weird,
It's
but that's just my own
it's a
fault,
very
'cause
natural thing.
Because I need more psychology terminology. I need more argumentative terminology.
Which isn't bad.
I forget this
it
YouTuber's
proves
name,
it
but
if
he came up with a
anymore.
list of 36 different rules that he demanded this person agree to before he had a debate with them. And they were like so intelligent. Like if you apply these issues with yourself, then you'll find that lots of things that some people tell themselves is bullshit. You know, it's important to break down your own bullshitteries. You know, you want a tower that is a lightning rod. It likes the lightning.
Those fallacies of arguments.
Yeah.
When you ain't, not just to other people, definitely. Like you may tell yourself something that really just it's a common human fallacy to commit, like to commit to this idea that really may be a detriment to you, that you could turn around, that you could even just slightly adjust to make the things coming forward that involve you, that you have a part of, all the better. Just from you shifting just slightly your perspective.
Oh yeah. They say you can only see 3 sides of the pyramid at a time, you know. So you have to actually travel around to see the whole thing. It's not going to move for you. That's the effort part. And I think this is where the culture part comes in, because then the individual has to understand that he is a house for his culture, and he has to like respect it and hold it up and clean it off and care about it. Because otherwise, it just dies in little bits here and there, falls off, and the whole culture then just gets a little crumbly.
Yeah.
And cultures, I'm using in a very specific way here. I don't mean like the kind of cars we have. No, I mean like value systems, like freedom of speech, yada yada.
Yeah, you can be part of a culture without even knowing it, really.
Oh, yeah.
We're all part of this whole thing, and let's say like all of these cells support the respiratory system.
Yeah, their culture is getting the air in and out.
Pretty much. And as humans, as part of this whole human race, this whole one being that is all of these different individual experiences, we can all be part of this one culture. Or
Yeah, there's the world
system.
culture, and then there's individuated parts. Like my family does things differently than other families who look very similar to us do. We're painted the same, we drive similar cars, we even have similar diets, but don't do things very, very similarly at all. We have a different like family culture. But there's enough in common that there's like a connecting culture, and then even beyond that, interstates have cultures. Like I see a guy come into my store, he's from like Wisconsin or whatever, and he refers to the soda as pop. It's weird to me, but I understand it, you know. It's enough similarity that I can connect the dots. I can use the knowledge that I have to imprint on the knowledge that I just received, and we co-create the reality of me selling him a soda.
Exactly. And it's all happening as it goes along. That's the really beautiful part about it. Like nothing's
unfolding.
Everything is decided at the
skin.
same time. Nothing is, because the future exists at the same time the present does. Essentially, if somebody was coming from Mars, coming to Earth, once they arrived to Earth, if they left Mars at the same time, once they arrived to Earth, of course there'd be a time lapse. There'd be something different than where they were in space and time.
Now they have their own now concept, but until we are together, we don't know.
Right. So essentially, depending on the direction they're facing, since if they were facing away from Earth, as the future went on, we interact with Earth's past. If we were facing towards Earth, if we were going towards Earth, if the energy was going towards Earth, as the time went on, we'd be interacting with the future then. Because we're going towards the object itself in space and time, and the object itself in space and time is continuing along the time axis, even though it's in the same place in space. So you're essentially the velocity is decided by direction and speed. Your velocity decides which part of and that direction and within the velocity decides which part of time and which part of space you're going to be a part of. Essentially, that speed, let's say the speed part of velocity, describes how much from present you'll be at. So you may be positive or negative.
Okay, so you're doing like a plane moving through a cube kind of thing.
Yeah, in a way.
Like this is the perspective point, and let's break it downward to just think about it easily. And you have a three-dimensional timeline, basically, is what you're getting at. So as opposed to imagining it as a four-dimensional timeline of a thing happening, let's just graph it is what you're doing, right?
Pretty much, and when you graph it,
okay, all right.
That's when you can see that
change.
That's when you can see that all of it is interactive with itself, like pretty much that, like no matter where you are in space or time, that you're connected with every other part of space and time in some way, shape, or form.
Because that is the all.
Really, yeah, and that's why I stated that, because like we were saying, the future is undecided, but at the same time it already exists.
I always imagined it in a more undeterminate sense, like the future is like this fuzziness, and as we move through it with our fog light or our flame of perception, I call this term, this is my term, flames of perception. No, I haven't read it anywhere else. And, as we look at something, we're changing it. As we're existing in a place, we're changing it. But of course, we are made of the universe. We're just a specific fold out of it. You were talking about it earlier, but I saw something else than what you were doing. Remember when you squeezed the sheet
Yeah.
You squeeze the bed sheet, you're that knot. You're still just the bed sheet.
Yeah, and all of it's still affected though by every single thought, action, and belief and pattern that you hold that produces energy.
And all of those are affected by everyone else's and all the other things. It's a constant flow. And
tensegrity is the idea that we call it in massage therapy, at least. Or
what's it called?
Tensegrity.
Okay.
It's the concept of any object that keeps its structure through constant tension of itself, basically.
Okay.
So that's why when you pull on the sheet,
so
part,
like this.
Right, and that this is now a structure, but like if this releases, that will do that.
They're codependent.
Like if this releases, that would do that, and it's just like
so
there's this constant tension that keeps this full structure.
Fit right in the middle there.
Exactly, you're the point of manifestation. That's why I try to tell people there is no reason to create the desire for a purpose and then act it out and try to find it, because after all of this universe. Being in tensegrity, being in this uniform position, you being right in the middle of it, you are the purpose. You get to live.
You are
and advance.
The occupant
change
of your temple. Why do temples exist? They exist for you. And of course, why do you exist as a temple? So that you can build more temples for other lights that can't make temples yet.
And that's why we imagine that because we've come across a lot of theories, of course, like reincarnation being one of them. If an enlightened spirit, as reincarnation goes, is to die in the physical world, their enlightened spirit just essentially has become such a part in a natural flow with the universe that they can simply be a part of it. Then their spirit can flow outside of physical boundaries. However, those enlightened spirits may return with need from the human race, the collective unconscious that they are still a part of, may call and desire for them.
Well, we're here doing something,
because we need them for our change as a whole. We recognize things as sin. I think it's a funny word.
I think it's dependent on perspective and beliefs, but also I think it has to do with people just playing their part. People don't expect lions to start hunting seals in Antarctica. Lions don't swim like that.
Yeah.
We have certain options available to us, and it is from this that then the consciousness makes these choices of how to change it slowly. I remember you're talking about getting to the deep muscles. You have to do it slowly.
I think that's why you thought it, like what you said about it being a fuzzy picture rather than no picture at all of the picture is important.
Because as you focus, as you turn that starlight into a laser, you're changing a specific thing.
Right.
And you want to go in a specific direction. Remember I was talking about Geppetto? You have to pick your fucking star. What is most important to you?
And then there's ways like pixel by pixel. If we looked at it like how digital processing works of images, it's like this picture, this entire image is unfocused, and essentially because we haven't observed it yet, at its full focus, we don't know what it is. But because we are a part of this uncovering of it, though, that's the beautiful part of it. It's not simply us waiting to see what happens. We are continuously a part of what's going to be the outcome. But even though there's this fuzzy picture of what may be.
Can a projector see that it is itself a projector? It's producing the light in the room required to see a reflection in the first place. I don't know. Obviously, it's a bad example. It's a weird one, but yeah, have you ever tried to follow an elevator door while it's closing or anything like that, and you get to the wall and you find that just the asymptote of reality takes over and you can't actually get your whole head right at the zero line because your head gets in the way of the wall?
Yeah, okay.
In trigonometry, that's called the asymptote. When it's graphed, it's like it comes in from the x-axis and goes all the way down, but it never actually touches the y-axis. It goes on for infinity, but then mathematically it has to continue somehow, so it comes in from the other fucking side of infinity and then continues on. to touch that x-axis. So it's like there's this thing that mathematically must exist in order to create the observed structure, which is, as far as my magic concepts are concerned, is about the consciousness of it. But also, I think it was Socrates, one of those guys. They were talking about like the perfect forms. Like if I say to you, chair, you know, the pure essence idea of the chair is structure that allows seating. You know, but you don't have the same image of a chair that allows this concept in your head. Mine is very similar to that chair, or like one that's made of wood and has a couple connector pieces on the bottom. You may have a wicker chair or a rocking chair. There's many manifestations of the possibility, right? So we're decreasing the magnitude now because we're increasing the complexity. We've gone from sitting to a kind of chair to sit on, right? So same thing with a triangle. I can draw it in sand or marker, but there's still a concept of a triangle. Now this part gets a little more refined within people's heads. It's a fucking triangle. You know what I mean? Right? You can make it out of all kinds of things. Where was I with the cards? Oh yeah. So with the asymptote, like you know that this thing has to be there. Like it's in the mathematics. And when, for instance, when they calculate black holes, it apparently just breaks down. Everything starts equaling zero, right? Like that's weird. It's like the whole in reality at that point.
Because of everything.
And it's where your consciousness can flow inwards from. And you have to transmit it to build a proper house, which would be a thing that holds spirit. Because everything has spirit first. It's the most actuating component of anything, in my opinion. Yeah, I'm very big about house building. I think it's very important. Like a sentence is a house for a tiny verbal idea.
Okay. I think that spirit itself, like, or consciousness, let's call it consciousness, is like one of the elements in order. Like you have fire, earth, air, water, and they can form the material of the universe. And essentially, like Taoism recognizes it, like when they represent in three treasures of life. There's the Jing, the Qi, and the Shen in Taoism. Jing being the essence of life, Qi being the energy of life that flows through all things that attracts matter to it. Like so, like there's like we recognize that everything in the universe has motion, even to the smallest building blocks of
gravity,
the universe.
Electricity, and entropy.
Qi. And then you have Jing, the essence of life, which marks different the bacteria from the air molecule, even though they're similar in size.
Oh.
And then you have Shen, the spirit of life. What marks the difference between the bacteria, which we do and could say and argue very well that it is life, and we do recognize the difference despite our labels of it between that and, like I said, an air molecule, but we also recognize the difference between bacteria and a fox and a dolphin and a human.
Well, there's a difference in magnitude versus complexity once again.
Exactly, and that is the Shen.
Magnitude complexity ratio. So I think that's an important thing here. So you have the magnitude available, the complexity shown, and then what that balance produces. Is that similar?
And, yeah, I think that's a good way to go about understanding how consciousness can range from such simpleness or in result, like you're stating, in result can range in such simpleness to complexity, or at least by observation.
Yeah, like there are the two nodes, and then there's basically a gap for the consciousness to comfortably fit itself into somewhere along the spectrum of reality. Like it's sulfur, mercury, and salt. That is form, energy, and information for these guys. So let's say we have the form, which would be a pyramid. We have form, information, and energy. Okay, no. Well then, what the fuck? The form would be what I'm making it out of, all right, fuck it, it's gold. It's gold pyramid, bitches. The information is pyramid, and the energy is actual constructive process, I guess. I have to look more into it. But there's lots of Trinities places. They all fit in all sorts of crazy ways, and it's fucking beautiful.
Yeah. With 3, you can make anything. That's the idea of the 3 treasures of the world. First, you start off with the 1, the everything in a way.
The all.
The all is more like the 0 in a way, actually. What a lot of things have recognized as the 0 is the all.
The life force.
The all produces the 1 then, because out of all, a single point will be created.
It's the place that the 1 can exist within.
Because if everything is essentially all that is 1. Because all that is the same thing.
Yeah. a manifestation,
So
a process or pattern, a dripping, or whatever.
It's all
of
just
the one fabric.
thing. So that all that existed, which the Taoism calls the Tao, then that is hard to recognize as anything but itself. Then it produces the 1. The 1 then breaks down into the 2, as the 1 has, representing everything, a duality.
Oh yeah. The 0. I fucking love this thing. 0. All the power that ever was or will be is here now. So yeah, that's the all. That's the eternal, the ineffable. That which we cannot actually wrap our minds around.
In space and time, it is everything.
Space, time, and matter as a single unit of existence. Yes. In number 1, I am a center of expression for the primal will to good, which eternally creates and sustains the universe.
So because there is everything,
there is now a one thing that can exist.
that represents that everything.
Yes. It would be a holographic, tiny version of it at this point. Which we haven't input any real data into the system yet. It's still just existing in a kind of pre-pubescent pleasantness.
Because it has nowhere to move, essentially, yet.
Yeah, it's just being transmitted. Now to number 2. Fucking through me, its unfailing wisdom takes form in thought and word. So now that we are understanding ourselves as an individuated thing, we have ourselves and our understanding. Start creating other things that aren't necessarily subordinate, but came later. The temporal line is still witnessed as a kind of fractal hierarchy structure.
I think that represents as like that 1 that then came about from the all, then can only move in the universe in a sense, because essentially if we thought about the universe without matter, it would be void. And essentially the only way to move in the void would be relative to itself. So that's where 2 comes about, is relatively. So like if it can move one way, essentially it can move the other. in every way at the same time. Diagonal would be the opposite diagonal. Up there would be down, left would be right.
Polarity.
That's just by exactly. So 2 introduces polarity.
Yeah. I think they say it's like the 1 becomes a 2, the 2 becomes a 3, and the 3 breaks open to become the 10,000 things.
Yeah, that's exactly how they say it.
And 3 is the first plane of manifestation. I didn't know that. That was really cool to learn about. Like, you look at the Tree of Life and you have the top 3 Sephiroth, which are all like internal mind concepts. But once those work in harmony, then you can actually start like moving from your mind into physical reality. And there's no actual distinction between these things. They're just separated through a kind of cosmic chivalry, if you will. There's like an eloquent rule book that's just written in, and as long as you know the rules and are supple and smooth and enjoy it and, celebrate existence and ever unto her, as they say in Labyrinth, then it will be a more reciprocal thing. You're putting in such wonderful energy. What do you expect to get back? Concept of a mirror. The ladies should understand this. They paint their faces up rather well. You're going to have a wonderful reflection. Alright, number 3. Filled with understanding of its perfect law, I am guided moment by moment along the path of liberation. Yeah, so like, as you see your process of creation, if you had used good intentions and were serious about it, then these machinations will be self-sustaining in a way, in that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. You don't have to stop halfway through and start doing maintenance that was unscheduled. You know, that kind of thing. That's why you don't buy cheap shit. You get what you buy.
That's why 4 represents the home in some cultures.
Yeah. No, that's, you know, think about the pyramid. You know, in my system, I still gotta like hammer this out, but I have the 4 pillar system. I based it halfway on just this hallucination I had. It's fucking crazy, and also a little bit on the Solomon Temple concept. He put his entrance towards the east. I still don't fully understand why. I think it has something to do with the rising sun. But anyway, you have the death pillar, which comes first. And that would be your dominant hand. In my case, is the right arm. So we're looking at the top right. This is done to clear things out, to clean things, to get it ready for the prima materia, or the mother pillar. And then this would be like what you create things out of with the father pillar. So what you do, you start with the right hand and move to the left foot. That's your mother pillar. But then the right foot is the father pillar. And then the conjoining of these two things is what allows you to move the energy onto the left hand, which would be the child pillar or the creation pillar. So it's kind of like all the different kinds of paganistic magics put into one, actually. Because we have the respect for death. There's lots of death worshipping people out there. People go hard into that, are often referred to as Luciferians, and not a lot of people like them for obvious reasons. They break things, they don't even appreciate themselves. They're solipsists, yada yada. Anyone who's imbalanced falls into some sort of problem. You have to balance. We're balanced to the force. So then you have the goddess worshipping, like the witches, and you have the high magic worshipping the all-father people. Like, I do worship Odin, he is my patron, but always in balance. I am a magician. I was put here for a reason. And then you have, like the druids who worship trees, you know. There is the nature. There is the creation. But even still, this is like a 4-element system that once you have used all 4 elements allows for the 5th element of spirit to take place. Because I'm not going to live in a house that's missing a wall. You know, I want a house. So it's that concept. But anyway, we were running at 32:32. Good timing, me. Is there anything you want to add? Talk about your website again?
Yeah, for those listening, if you're interested in learning more about the body, which I honestly suggest, just as someone who has gone through the experience and gone through the experience of having a body and learning more about it, and then being able to actively be a part of that body's like experience, that my experience, because I'm not just my mind, I am also my body, and sadly we're not taught that well. At least if you live in America, especially, we're not taught that well.
Oh, we're taught
to
very well.
appreciate
Just taught
and take
bullshit.
care of our bodies. like health class, you experience it maybe once or twice in high school and maybe in middle school, but like it shouldn't be a health class. It should be this. Hey,
Should be
welcome
everything.
to human life, new being, new soul, new spirit.
Yeah.
This is what it's like to be human.
Yeah,
And we
be
have
a good
active
avatar.
control and effect on that, guys. And that's what No Massage wants to teach. No Massage wants to show you that everyone can, if you have a tension headache or low back pain, you should know why. You should know that you can do something about it. Okay? So nomassage.com. Thank you.
KNOW.
KNOW. Not No Massage, because it's
Yes,
yes
it's
massage.
lots of massage.
Yes massage.
Very,
But
very pro massage.
you should know massage.
Yeah. All right. And that's about it. If we go too much longer, we're entering the realm of live stream times. So.
Well, I appreciate you having me, man. I definitely love sharing information, and that's what No Massage is all about too. Is all of this is all of our information. Humans go on through this process together.
And that is what the
discovering
Phoenixes
all
and
of this.
Dragons Project is all about, raising consciousness in general.
And it's still the same stream.
Yes, it is.
It's still the same
It's
life.
all part of that fucking system, yes. Because eventually, this little house in my head will be the house around me, and I will have my high priestess, and she will become my empress, and yada yada yada.
Yeah.
one big
everyone
happily
goes
ever
through
after,
the same
and
life.
we all deserve
So
a
many different
chance.
colors and so many different numbers.
So many different things.
Now, this video was fun, but I gotta pee. Love you guys. Peace and love.
Auf Wiedersehen.